Good evening, my dear brothers, sisters, and friends. Today is January 21st, 2011. We are having our regular meditation session. How are you this evening? Did you enjoy your meditation? I used to remind the purpose of meditation, because meditation will help us to calm ourselves down and to make us more clear in our mind, in our thinking. So when we are able to calm and clear, we are able to see and realize many things surround us. Our life, our daily life is more mindful. And with the mindfulness, we are able to see and embrace and overcome many ill beings, many suffering in our daily life. We all know that in life we have suffering, but we also have happiness. And if we are not mindful, we only focus to negatives, and the negatives will sink us down. The negatives will make us have no energy of living, no energy to live. So in order to make our life more meaningful, more strong, more power, more positive, and learn and practice to focus to positives. That doesn't mean we do not thinking about the negative, or we don't care about our wrong doings or our mistakes. But we have to understand why we need to focus to negatives. If we focus to the negative, we think about the negative, but the negative help us to live more mindfully, more strongly, more power, more positive, and the negative is possible. The negative become the object of meditation. And soon we have the object of meditation, we can realize many things around. If we are mindful, everything can be the object for us to meditate. For instance, today I received 2 phone calls, and they asked me about their family situation. They share with me a lot of suffering in their family situation. So when I hear the negative, it's like that. Doesn't make me suffer, but to make me understand why I need to practice. And I can see that my life is worth, my practice is worth, because I'm able to sit, to listen, and to share. So the listening to the negative become the positive object for my meditation. And in Buddhism we call the realization. The same as when we are receiving and practice the 5 mindfulness trainings. When we are talking about the trainings, another word, the precepts, we understand deeply, we are aware deeply, or we totally, truly realize the suffering caused by killing, or caused by stealing, or caused by sexual misconduct, or caused by unmindful speech, or caused by unmindful consumption. That's why we cultivate our loving kindness. We cultivate our diligently to practice, to learn and to practice. In Buddhism, the Buddha encouraged us to focus to the positive. And if we do need to think about the negative, but remember the negative only the object, the energy to push you up in your practice, not for you to sink yourself down, not for you just to sit there and to suffer. 2 days ago, I received a phone call from an old lady. She now about 60 years old. And she told me that she have done a lot of bad things when she was young. And since then, now she understands what she have done, but she suffer a lot. She have no energy to live, and she totally forgot who's around her. And I told her, realizing our mistakes is a good thing, but that's not good enough. That's not good enough. You have to think and make the commitment. What are you going to do to correct your mistakes? In the past, this body, this mind have done wrong things. Now, this body, this mind will do good things instead. We do not need to refuse this body. We do not need to change the body. But what we need to do is to change the way we think, the way we act, the way we behave. In Buddhism, we understand this body is impermanent. This body is the composing of the 4 elements. We understand that. And one day these 4 elements will dissolve. So what are you going to do now? Realizing it, but what you do? Not just sit there and suffer and crying. When you know that you are sick, then you have to find some way to treat, to help for the body. Not just realizing that I am sick and that's it. We do not period right there. We have to do something else. And that's where in Buddhism we call awakening. The Buddha is the one who understands deeply the ignorance and work with the ignorance in order to transform from ignorance into awakening. And that is the meaning of the one who we call the Buddha. Buddha does not mean he is a saint. He is something, like a holy person. We just worship, respect, and that's it. Everybody, we have to inform that we are the Buddha to be. We have the capacity to practice the same as the Buddha. Today I would like to share with you the first realizations of the one who we call the Bodhisattva, the great being. Of course, we have many other things to focus, to realize, but these are the 8 basic ones, the guidelines. We can use this, and then we can create more, because practicing Buddhism is a creative. We're able to create something else in order to help us. For example, while you are sitting meditation, if you realize that your mind wanders a lot, you cannot focus, then you can create something to help your mind to stay with you in the moment of meditation. You may want to create breathing in. I feel that my body is light like a piece of cloud. My mind also calm, relax, and peace like a piece of cloud. Breathing in, peace. Breathing out, light. You do that for about 3 to 5 minutes. And then just our mind start to wander again. You forget that, you create another thing. Breathing in, I breathe for my mom. Breathing out, I breathe for my dad. Breathing in, breathe for mom. Breathing in, breathe for daddy. You do that for 5 minutes. You start to wander your mind again. Now you create something else. So meditation is when you're able to awake to understanding, to realize yourself, the situation, and the atmosphere in order to create, in order to transform, in order to make something newer in our practice. Who prevent us to do that? Very freedom, very relaxed, and very practical. Meditation doesn't have any particular form that we frame anyone. But once the mind is calm, clear, we create. Meditation is like an art. You can draw any way you feel. Sometimes you draw a tree, but no one can read, no one can look at as a tree, but you do. Or sometimes when you see some painting, it costs very expensive. But with you, it's just like a brush and moving around. But if the one who understands that kind of art, they can buy that painting in a very expensive price. And the first realization the Buddha advised us to realize about impermanent. This is the whole paragraph about the impermanent. The first realization. Awareness that the world is impermanent. All political regimes are subject to fall. All things composed of the 4 elements are empty and contain the seeds of suffering. Human beings are composed of the 5 aggregates and are without a separate self. They are always in the process of change, constantly being born and constantly dying. They are empty of self. The mind is the source of all confusion, and the body is the forest of all impure actions. If we meditate on these facts, we can gradually be released from samsara, the realm of birth and death. The first realization is about impermanent. In Buddhism, the Buddha mentioned we have 2 kinds of impermanent. Things change moment to moment, like river, cloud, everything. That's we call impermanent in each moment. Do you realize that? You came here at 6, now it's 7:30. Every single word I speak become the past. Right? Every second we live become the past. So that's called impermanent on moment to moment. Change all the time. What is impermanent? Impermanent means never stay the same. Sometimes I look at my pictures, my DVD, not long ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I can see big difference. 2-3 years ago, I look more younger. But remember that we change not in each year, but we change in every moment of life. That's the first impermanent. The second impermanent, the period of birth, the maturity, the transformation, and destruction. These 4 things, when it's end, we call impermanence in each cycle. For example, us. We have the period of birth. And then we grow up. But in the time we grow up, we're moving, we're changing. The changing. And then one day we become destruction. Damage. Everything will be totally down. So that's what we call end of the life. That person finished their life. A flower have the period of birth, like a seed, and then change. During that time, grow up as a tree, bloom as a flower. Change. If no change, the seed will never grow. So because of impermanence, so the flower change. The flower grow up. We cut the flower, we decorate the flower. We think the flower stay there, but actually it changed. And one day it's totally down. Finish the session, the time length of a flower. So if we see the 2 things of impermanent in moment to moment, and in that moment it become period of birth, maturity, transformation, and destruction. And impermanent. We also in the impermanent. In this impermanent life, they contain the suffering. Do you agree? Everything changed. Not yet. They don't stop there. Tons of suffering. You know the reason I don't come out early today, because I received a phone call from a young lady. She called me and she cried on the phone, "Thầy, please help. We have 2 kids and I am pregnant now. But my husband, he left home. And he told me that do not dare to beg him to come back. He never come back home again." She is only 23 years old. Before I come out here. So I told one of the brother, "Please help Thầy be with the class during the meditation. I need to talk." So I talked with the lady. And we are not finished yet. So after the Dhamma talk tonight, I will call her again and talk. But I know that I cannot do anything. But in this moment, she really needs someone to hear her, to release her suffering. 2 months ago, they argue. They both argument. And the husband promised No matter what happened, I will correct my mistake and we will live together, because they don't want another baby. They don't want this third child, but they think this is, the gift from God. So they take it, they accept it. But now things impermanent. Let us think about everything we have. Is there anything stay the same? No. They were born, they were maturity, they were transformed, and they were destruct. And if we don't see the impermanent, if we don't realize the impermanent, that becomes the sufferer. So what is the war? The war means there is time and there is space. That's called a war. The war contains three things. Time we have three times, 3 periods of time. The past, the present, the future. And the space is everything we have the space. The distance, the space. For example, I'm sitting here, from here to this microphone, there is space. The piece of paper I leave on the table here, they also have space. The space between the surface of this polyum also with the piece of paper. So we have the space, we have the time. That's called a war. Aware that the world is impermanent. All political are the subject to fall. Some of us, we have witnessed many change in the political system. I met the lady who is 111 years old. She just passed away last week. And her life, she has witnessed a lot of the political system change. Can you imagine more than 100 years? She has witnessed a lot of changing. Let's say I stay in the temple for 20 years. I also have witnessed a lot of change in the community. Some of them just married last year, now I heard they divorced. Some of them I just met last week, now they die. Everything can be changed in a minute, in a second. Some of the king who only received the throne for a few days. If you read the Vietnam War history, and you can see some of the president of the Vietnam at that time, he only stayed in his position for 3 days as a president of Vietnam. The 4 elements are empty. What are the 4 elements? The earth, the fire, the water, and the air. These 4 elements compose together and make our life. But these 4 things, they rarely fight each other, fighting each other. If the fire is loose, we feel cold. So we need to find something to help for the heat to boost up. Every day when we eat, We nourish, or we create, or we support for the earth, the element of earth. We drink, we support for the elements of water. We breathe, we support for the element of air. And do you meditate and realize that we have no power for this entire body? We cannot say, I don't want you to sick this week. Or when we have fever, we cannot say, I want you to be healed now. We can't. We have no sovereignty. We cannot control this body. And this body only borrow from the four elements. If we're hungry, we borrow something to satisfy. Few hours later, we take it out. We borrow something else. Once a while, we borrow a glass of water. 2 hours later, we take it out. Every single breath we make, borrow, give back. Borrow, give back. We never stop. Breathe in, that means we borrow. Breathe out, we give back. Let's say if one day we stop, we don't want this contract anymore. What happened? We die. If we breathe in, we don't breathe out, we die. Or we breathe out, we don't breathe in, we die. And if we see deeply, we realize that nothing is belong permanently to us. So if we attach, this is myself, there is nothing called ourself or yourself. If it is yourself, you're able to master, you're able to control. But we can't. We have no control. We're able to have a remote control for a machine, for some mechanical, but we have no remote control for our own body. What we only can do is adjust. Once a while we need to eat, once a while we need to drink, we breathe, we wear warm just to adjust, to make these four elements balance. But we cannot do anything to tell them to stop. In the great Nirvana Sutra, and the Buddha gave an example. There's a man who has a basket with the 4 snakes in there. And these 4 snakes, they're always fighting and biting each other. So this man have to always, try to calm these 4 snakes down. And the Buddha said, the man who have the baskets is like us, we have the body. And the 4 snakes are the 4 elements. They're always fighting to each other. And even we have them, we are their boss, we are the owner, but we have no power with them. But instead, we have to work so hard with them. When the fire snake try to be the winner, and we have to find something to cool the flame down. Eat more vegetables. And if we feel cold, that means we sick. We need to find something like ginger, hot water. Soak your feet in the hot water to heal for your fever. So those are all the things we calm the 4 snakes down. And the owner is us, the basket is the body. We have the basket of the 4 snakes. Human beings are composed by the 5 aggregates. In Pali they call skandhas. English translation, the 5 aggregates. They put together in order to call a living body, an active person. How? The form, the feelings, the perception, the mental formation, and the consciousness. Meditate. How about the form? What is the form? Like the outlook. This outlook never stays the same. You met Thầy 5 years ago with Thầy 5 years later is big difference. Our form change. The way we look, the way we have our haircut, the way we make up, these are all the form. But beside that form, what we have the feelings. Happy, pleasure, unpleasure, and neutral. Sometimes we feel so happy. Sometimes we unhappy. Sometimes we fine, we okay, we neutral. So feelings of 3 ways of feelings: pleasure, unpleasure, and neutral. So the form, the feelings. How about the perception? We sit here, but we have a lot of perception about something else. In Vietnamese, there was a song like this: when I did not see you yet, I can imagine you are beautiful like the full moon. That song, describe a beautiful lady. Chưa gặp em, anh vẫn nghĩ rằng có người thiếu nữ đẹp như trăng. I haven't met you yet, but I can imagine you are a beautiful lady like the full moon. But we are joking after, we make some joke after that sentence. After I met, you're not exactly what I imagined. What is that an example for? Perception. Perception always wrong. That's why in Prajna Sutra, the Buddha told us exactly what wrong perception. Wrong, it means not right. Perception means something you don't see it as a reality. You just think, you just imagine. When I was a small boy, we were in Vietnam and we never have a chance to walk on the airplane. So every time we sit in the house and if we hear the sound of the airplane, we all run down and point. Look, that is the airplane. And we think, what does it look like? And somebody will say, wow, it's big like a house. They have bed in there, they have a table there, they have the kitchen there. We just down here and we imagine about the airplane. Many people, they never met Thầy. And they just watch my DVD and they think Thầy is a big, I'm a big person. And one day they met me, they say, are you Thầy Pháp Hóa? How come you look so small? Compared to the DVD we watched. Because I'm not standing up, I'm sitting like this and look like I'm a big guy. Perception. In the Vietnamese and Chinese tone, the word is very exactly Điên đảo. Điên means crazy. Điên means not right. down, upside down. Anything you look and you live upside down, not in the reality, it's called dim down. How much dim down, how much wrong perception, upside down way we have lived. Something impermanent, but we look at it, we name it permanent. Something is suffering, we name it happiness. Something is happiness, but we name it suffering. Many young friends, when we told them, don't drink, don't smoke, do not use the drugs because that will destroy your life, they will say, no, you are wrong. We enjoy. This makes us feel great. But what's happened? What happened? When they realize the reality, too late. They have damaged half of their life. So the five aggregates are not us. You can see that right now, these five things still with us. We have the form, like the body. We have the feelings. We still have the perception. We have the mental formation. Mental formation means things moving and never stay. When I say, Dave, where you live? When I ask the question, you will answer, oh, I live in 97th Street. And right after that, you continue to think about 97th Street, what happened and how it was there. So mental formation means moving, changing all the time in the way we think. And consciousness means always have a lot of explanation, discrimination. This is good, this is bad. This is right, this is wrong. And the Buddha said these five things are not totally belong to us. They never stay the same. If they're impermanent, if they're permanent, life will never possible. So meditation on impermanent in order to make our life more meaningful, more peace, more joys. Let's say we know that our children, when they grow up, they will get married or they will move out, they will school. We have no chance to be with them like when they were young anymore. If we realize that when they were young, take time with them, enjoy the time with them. Because they grow up is the truth, we cannot change. They move out is the truth. But the time they stay with us, not much. But the time they will grow up, they move out, they stay in their own life, more than the time they stay with us. So we have to use the time, we have to value the time when we still be together. You all know that, for example, like this. Every Friday we still see each other. And who have come here 13 years ago, or many years ago, or 10 or 6 or 5 years ago, you also witness how is our group change. Impermanent. Someday we have 60, 70. Someday we have 20, 30. Someday only few. That's impermanent. But without the impermanent, life is not possible. If we suffer, we always suffer, never change. If we are a small baby, we will always be a small baby, never grow up. So why the Buddha taught us the first realization about the impermanence of life? First, to help us not to have the right view about life, to have the right thinking about life, and to have the right livelihood. Because when we see life is changed in that way, we will correct our mistakes. We will make our life more meaningful. We do not dare to waste our time anymore. Instead, we use our time meaningful. Did you see how was a big change in the novices? You came here, some of them, like Joshua right now. And now there are some of them 16, some of them 22. Do you remember Brother Peter? Only 12 when he came here. But now you can see how tall he was. So when I meditate about the impermanent, doesn't make me feel sad or suffer, but instead that encourage me to use my time right, my energy right, and to use my effort correctly. So the Buddha called right effort, right thinking, right livelihood, right view. When we realize about the impermanent, our love is more cultivate, loving kindness. You can embrace and love deeper because you know how to appreciate everything you have and what and whoever surround us. I remember when I was in France for a few months, and some days I really miss an old nun that you still can meet her now. Someday I really miss her. Now she is 87. She ordained as a nun when she was 65. At that time she's still very healthy. And I was a young boy at that time. And I can appreciate how she supported and how she cared for me when I was young. She always protect me by not allow any young lady get close to Thầy. Any young girl or any young lady come close to Thầy and she just walk around, pretend she cleaning the hall, she's cleaning the table, but now she is telling us the truth. And so sometimes we sit together and they say, do you know how did I pretend and then to look after Thầy? I pretend that I'm cleaning the altar, I'm cleaning the table, I'm cleaning the kitchen, but my eyes are watching him. I remember one day she called one of the young member in the temple, come upstairs with me. And she put her head down underneath of the door. And that young man asked, what are you doing? I want to see whether the light in his room is on or off. Because she really protects, she loves Thai. She feel that I have a chance to ordain when I was very young. It's a great opportunity to practice when we were young. She never want me to withdraw. She never want me to unsuccessful in my practice life. So she support. And she told the members, now Thai is grow up and he is old and he's smart now, so I don't have to watch him anymore. When I meditate about her and I see that I am her now how I watch the young novices. Sometimes I know that they don't agree with the way I protect. But I have to say, well, you have to understand, we cannot do anything else other than doing this because we want to protect. Sometimes kids don't see farther than an adult. The children never see far like the parents. When I was disagree with the master, with some of his behave with the members, he tried to please them, but I don't agree with the way. Instead of yelling at me, but this is what the master told me. Well, now you don't agree with me. When you are in my position now, you will understand why I did that. Instead of sit and explain, the whole session, the whole lecture, he just told me that. And now I can see what he taught. And now some of the way I please the people, maybe you don't agree. But you cannot do anything else because as a teacher, as the abbot, when people come, you cannot refuse anyone. You try to make people happy as much as you can. Beside that, you use the Dharma, you use the teaching in order to transform them. But at first, you have to accept exactly who they are first. We believe in impermanence. This person is very negative, but with our positive, we're able to change them. Because impermanent, people can change. So why we can do that? Because of the loving kindness. So the first realization on impermanent doesn't mean to make us to stop there. Okay? And to put our hands like this and to give up. But to work well. To help and to transform. And we have to live wholeheartedly, moment to moment. So one day, if our lifetime is finished, its period is done, there is nothing for us to regret. Because we have done the best, what we're able to do. I have told myself in the form of a poem I wrote for myself. If one day I have to leave, I will live peacefully and happily. I will live freely, like a cloud, like the snow and the rain, freely. Why is that? Because I have done what I need to be done. Whoever stay back, talk about me, discuss about me, doesn't matter with me. Sometimes people only recognize our good points after we die. When we're still alive, we do a lot of good things, but they never recognize. We can see that a lot in our lifetime. People wrote a lot of good things about a person only during the memorial service. But we never explain and share good points about someone while they're still healthy and live. And if we're able to reflect on that, automatically we will tell ourselves, what can I do? How do I live so I can call a living being? A living being means when we work, when we talk, when we do things, we have the awareness, the realization, the compassionate, and the understanding. When you walk in the meditation hall of the Mahayana Buddhist temple, you will see that we have the drum, we have the bell. The drums stand for understanding. The bell stands for love. And these are the two profound quality, very strong aspect for our human's life. Let's imagine if this life have no love, no understanding, we'll be very dry, very suffer. But if only understanding without love, or love without understanding, we will be very wet, easy to sink down. So we will slowly talking about the sutra on the 8 realizations taught by the Buddha. And today we only talk one, the very first realization. Realization on impermanent. In order to live more happy, more healthy, more meaningful, and cultivate more love in our human's life. And if anything happens, we know it. We understand it. They cannot bother us. So why the Buddha always talk about this? Because this is the reality, but we never know. This is something true, but we never realize it. So the Buddha point out, this is the truth. If you understand it, you will be fine. For example, if you're just sitting in the meditation hall quietly, but suddenly I just bang at the bell, you will shock. You will afraid. But before I invite the bell, I will do this. I wake the bell. I let you know, brothers and sisters, don't be afraid. There will be the sound of the bell. So this is the signal. Realize there will be the sound of the bell. Same thing. The Buddha talk about the impermanent is the signal. Be ready. Things can change anytime. Be aware. Suffering can happen anytime. Death can happen anytime. So when it's happened, you can relax because you already know there will be the sound of the bell. Yesterday I talked with one of the nuns in the state. She asked me, Thầy, do you remember that senior nun? I said, yeah, I know her. She called me last year to invite me to come over to her temple to give a retreat. But I told her that I'm too busy, so I told her that I will come to her one day. And you know what that young nun told me? Oh, she died, she passed away. She was in Florida. I met her. She called me last year, she told me to come over to her temple to conduct a retreat. I told her I'm full of my schedule. I promised her I will come maybe this year or next year. But when I heard yesterday, she passed away 3 months ago. And if we are not ready for those kind of sound, we may shock. And to tell you the truth, I was surprised. I just informed, are you sure? You sure you're talking about who? Because when I met her, she's still very healthy. But after that, she had a lung cancer. Can you imagine? She is a nun. She never smoked. So we will say, oh, lung cancer only happened to smoker. No way. That's wrong perception. So, inviting the bell like this. Be ready for things to be changed. So if anything's happened, it's like the sound of the bell. Don't be shocked. Don't be scared. Because you're already ready to receive the message. I don't read newspaper much. Once a while, I stop at some of the airport and waiting for my next flight, and I used to walk around and some of the newspaper, just people left beside me. And you know what I read? The announcements. At the back of the newspaper, they always have the part to announce who passed away, at what age, at what year. I always do that. And sometimes they say, congratulations, this couple has been together for 50 years. And I just say, very rarely to have. But, that's a good news, a good signal. When I read newspaper, the magazines in the Vietnamese community, always the same. What I read the news about, announcement about who passed away first. Doesn't mean we always focus to negative. No. Yes, if we do, but that helps us to appreciate our present moments more and more. Thank you for your listening. I hope that you enjoy your weekend. And don't forget that we will have a mindfulness day tomorrow. Tomorrow the Dharma talk will be 1 p.m. Because due to our busy schedule for the Asian New Year is coming, so every weekend we have something to do with the decoration. Yeah. So tomorrow everything will be the same in the morning, except we should ready for lunch and finish and clean up on time. So we try to finish everything at 12, and we have 20 minutes of walking meditation and 40 minutes of relaxation. And then the Dharma talk will begin at 1 o'clock, and we will finish at 2. So around 2:30 we'll have good discussion at the back hall. So the main hall will be used for the flower arrangements. Okay. Thank you again for your coming, for your presence. I hope you enjoy your weekend.